The knitting machine that I'm using has got 22 pins, and I knit 80 rows in total for the main panel. I'm just going to the first row, I'm just looping around every other stitch before continuing as normal for the second row onwards. The first row will be pulled tight to create a close at the end of each side. This is a really basic knitting machine off of Amazon, and I find it works perfectly adequately. Occasionally it will get a bit stuck and you have to dislodge the stuck yarn, but as long as the yarn that you're using is quite fine, well, it needs to be double knit or less. Anything a bit bulkier will struggle to catch on the hooks and move smoothly. Once I've knitted my 80 rows, I just take it off by hooking the end of the yarn through every stitch to remove it from the knitting machine. Once I've sewed the end through all of these stitches, I pull it tight to close it off. Once you've removed the knitting from the knitting machine, I find that it's quite helpful just to give it a little stretch and then scrunch it up, just to try and balance out all the stitches so there aren't any stitches that are excessively bigger than others. Because the stitches are quite large, I've made the knitting panel twice the size that my finished product will be, and I'm doubling it over so that the stuffing is not seen. So I fold one half of the stocking inside the other, and then I have got a tube that is sealed at one end, and so that second tube I'll just pull that tight as well so that it's sealed off. Just to keep that end nice and tight, I'm just going to quickly run a little stitch through the middle and leave the tails on the inside. The top third of this will be the snowman's head, and then the bottom 2/3 will be the body. So I take enough stuffing for the head. Just fluff it up a bit, as this is stuffing from another project, and then I insert it into the top of it, and I take my yarn and stitch all the way around underneath where I want the base of the head to be, and pull it tight to create the neckline. I haven't been too careful with the stitches as they're in the same colour as the main body, and so it isn't really seen, as long as they're not really crazily sized, and when it's pulled tight it's tucked underneath the head anyway, so it's not really particularly visible. I did give the yarn another wrap around the base of the neck and then tied it off just to give it a bit more security and to stop any parts from being uneven. Once the head is sewn, I take some more stuffing and I insert it into the bottom 2/3 to create the body. Again, same process as with the head, just fluff up the stuffing and put it in there nice and evenly to create the body shape. And then I take my yarn, and what I want to do is where the knitting is folded over at the base, I run the yarn all the way around the inside of that and pull it tight to create a sealed bottom. So where the knitted panel has been folded across itself, there is basically a little channel at the base here, and that is where I'm inserting the yarn. As I'm going, I do like to give it a little squeeze and reshape it just to make sure I'm happy with the overall shape, and with this one, I did decide that the body wasn't quite stuffed firmly enough, so I took a little bit more stuffing and put it in there again before I finished sealing it up again. So the drawn ends at the bottom I just secured with the thread, just tying it off in a knot, and then I lost the ends inside the body to avoid having the end on show. I used some black yarn to sew the eyes into place, and then used the same yarn to create the buttons on the body. I knotted the end of the yarn and inserted it at the back of the head, pulling it through so that the knot was secured inside the head, inside the stuffing. And this allowed me to pull it through to the front and sew the eyes into place. I did 3 stitches on each eye. I wanted the buttons to have a slightly rounder shape than the eyes, so I created 3 stitches horizontally, and then I worked around these 3 stitches vertically another 3 times. Again, once I finished stitching, I lost the end tail inside the knitted body and cut off the end so that it's not visible. To create the carrot-shaped nose, I created a triangular shape and then worked horizontally to fill it in using some orange yarn. I secured it in the same way as I secured the black yarn, working from the back of the head to the front. For the arms, I've literally just used a pipe cleaner cut into half, and as it's just an ornament, I just stuck it literally into the body either side, and it's pretty secure. I wouldn't give it to a child or anything, but it's perfectly adequate just to sit on a shelf. If I was going to make this to be something that was more than just a quick holiday ornament, I would consider using some I-cord, maybe brown, and then sewed onto the body for extra security. But I actually really like how the pipe cleaners look quite like twigs, so I think it's a really nice effect for the snowman, and it's actually the quickest way to give it arms. Using my circular knitting machine, I created another stocking in the same manner as I did for the snowman, except this time I only used 40 stitches instead of 80. I sealed both ends up and folded one half inside the other to create the hat shape, and then I just folded up the brim. Although the hat is made with the same circular knitting machine as the snowman, I've still managed to get the hat to sit okay, as the knit is quite loose, so it does stretch pretty well to fit on the snowman. And finally, I wanted to give my snowman a little scarf, so I just quickly knitted some I-cord to a good length that was long enough to wrap around the snowman's neck and to hang down at the front. So I just used this purple colour as I thought it was quite a nice colour to go with the green, and quickly created the I-cord. When you take the I-cord off of the I-cord knitting mill, I just get a needle and sew the yarn end through the 4 hoops that are unknitted, and that pulls tight, and I lose the end of the yarn into the body of the I-cord, and that will stop it coming undone. As both ends of the I-cord are going to be seen, as it's a scarf, I just quickly lost the end of the start of the I-cord in the body of the I-cord as well, and then we've got 2 really neat ends to look neat on display. I tried the scarf in a couple of different variations on the snowman, but in the end I just wrapped it around its neck once, and I liked that finished look. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my other videos. Thanks for watching.